Welcome to Axium Portal Software. In this video, I'm going to show you how to link together two 800s or 400s or multiple units together. In this exercise, we'll be doing two Ax800 units. Where you start, we're going to go ahead and choose a location where we're going to place our equipment. In this case, we're going to go ahead and use equipment rack because this is a whole house system that we're doing. We don't need to have our unit in one particular area, so we're going to go ahead and choose equipment rack so we don't use up a zone on our system. The next thing we're going to do is go ahead and add our units. We're going to add two Ax800s to our system here. Before I add the second one, what I'm going to do, I'm going to click on the first one here. And what you can see right here, this automatically defaults from zones 1 through 8 right here. And I'm going to go ahead and add a second unit and show you that it automatically defaults that one to 9 to 16. Now, if we were to add a next unit, it would be, of course, 17 through 24 and so on and so forth, up to 96 zones. This is a 96 zone system that it can be expanded to. In this case, we're going to use two chassis. One thing to note about this is that we're expanding zones here, but one thing we're not expanding is input sources. You're still going to just have the 8 input sources that's on the back of the unit. By adding a second unit, you are not adding additional inputs. And to show you that, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to put these units side by side and drag this one over to here. Now, what you can see is both units. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and add some source labels. These are my actual sources here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to add them on unit number 1. And one thing you notice is that since I added them on unit number 1, they automatically populated unit 2 as well. Remember, this one right here is actually, let me back this up a little bit. This one right here is actually 1 through 8, and this one's 9 through 16. But you notice that the sources on both populated when I added it on the first unit. Reason being, because you are not expanding sources when you add another unit. You're only expanding the zones. And you're also expanding the IR capability of that. What I mean by that, if I go to the second unit here, and I'm at zone 9 here, but I'm going to go ahead and hit this and hit the expansion on here. And what this is, these are the 8 additional IR inputs that I'm using on the second unit. And you can use these separately from the IR inputs that are on the first unit. How would I use that? I would use that if I had a theater, if I had another area where I just simply needed to use IR inputs or IR outputs when they're not associated with the 16 zones that I'm already using on the other two chassis. So you can expand the IR capability, but one thing you cannot expand is the source capability for those. Okay, so what we did effectively here, we went ahead and we connected these two units together, but only right here in the software. To connect to hardware, what you do is this. On the back of the units here, the first thing you're going to do is make sure you have an Ethernet connection connected to both of them so they can talk over the Ethernet. The next thing you do, these orange outputs here are what's called SPDIF. In other words, they're going to link digitally the sources that are input to the first unit to the second unit. So what you do, you just simply take RCAs and connect from one unit to the next. The expansion ports takes all of the data from one unit to the other. So you want to go ahead and get a Cat5 jumper and jump from one unit to the other. And that's how you connect these units together. In programming, they automatically do all the connections for you. The only thing you're going to worry about is where you're putting your keypads and what zones you're assigning your keypads to. And on zone assignments here, I'm going to go ahead and expand this out. On zone assignments here, these are the actual zones that you're going to have 1 through 8. You notice on this unit right here, it's 1 through 8. If I go to the second unit, it's going to automatically bring up for me zones 9 through 16. Now here you can name these zones by adding the zones to your project. And the way you do that is this. Go over here, click here, and go ahead and just add zones that you're going to have. If you're going to have 16 zones, you want to go ahead and add 16 zones to your unit here. Once you add zones to your system, you notice that those names automatically populate. Now, these are the default names of simply what on the drop downs here. Now, you can change the name of these zones to anything that you want them to. For instance, we're going to go ahead and change the name of this first zone to pool, and we'll change the second one to family. You notice that they automatically change the name of those zones for you within your system here, which is important because if you're using KPD or KPC keypads, whatever you name your zones in this area here, and if you set up your keypads in the correct manner, they will automatically populate the sources to all of those keypads, so you don't have to go to those keypads, rename them. Not only that, these names will actually appear on the top of your keypads. That's how you connect two units together. If you're going to connect 96 zones, you would do them the exact same way in Axium Portal software.